Oh, get out of here.
Double down, lug nut. Welcome to the Fo0H Tribe, bitches. Hey, episode 1625. Welcome to the Fo0H Tribe, bitches. Where men can be men. We're changing things up a little bit here today, partly because of two reasons. One, I had the hardest time trying to get someone locked down for the podcast this week, and it just hasn't come to fruition, and I want to make sure that I get something out. And then the second reason is I connected with someone very close to me who's been listening to the podcast but isn't a video game aficionado, and he just pointed out the importance and the excitement and that he sees in our podcast and why communities are important. Whether you join ours or whether you join someone else's, it doesn't matter, right? Like, communities are the foundation for us to develop relationships with like-minded folks and sort of determine whether or not we want to grow and build personal relationships from there. In this episode, I'm going to talk about really why I think communities are important and why I'm doing what I'm doing with the podcast and, hopefully where this will go. It's about taking risks, about jumping out there and making stuff happen, and that's what we're doing here. So sit back and relax. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Grab a Diet Dr. Pepper. Enjoy this episode of the Fo0H Tribe Podcast. We'll see you in the trenches. Hi-yo! Let's talk a little bit about communities, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're building here, and that's what we're growing here. And I had a chance today's Saturday, to talk with a really close personal friend of mine, trusted advisor for sure, about the podcast. And his perspective is really unique because it's different, because he's not a video game guy at all, right? And he is able to hear things and share things with me that I just don't even hear or even think about when I'm doing the podcast. And, we've been doing a lot of them and had a lot of awesome guests. They're all been great. But at the end of the day, I have a community of, men who I play video games with online. And I'll be the first to tell you, now that REBIRTH's out, I love it. I love knowing that I can jump on the game and, have Deadly with me, have, Deuce with me, have Spit with me. Even last night, I got a dub with Unwilling Chubber. The Chubber. Yeah, we pulled one down. It was a willing chub. You know what I mean? And we got a W on REBIRTH. Who else is excited about REBIRTH being back? Oh my God. I love everything about REBIRTH. Anyway, I digress. But one of the things that Tim shared with me that I thought was important to mention, because what the podcast is doing, if you haven't heard it yet, is that I'm interacting with guys I've never met. Never met these guys. But I've developed a bond with them on this game that affords me the opportunity to further develop my relationship with them outside of the game. And that, in its essence, is a community. It's a relatability thing, right? And forget the Fo0H Tribe and forget joining my community. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you have an interest in video games, but maybe you also have an interest in, RC cars. I don't know, maybe you like the SR-71, you like the engines associated with it. Maybe you like music. Maybe you like cooking. I don't know. But there's a community out there for everyone. There is, at the end of the day. And Tim helped me see that despite the fact that he doesn't have, a passion for video games, the importance of community and relatability and connecting with people in any capacity where you share a similar interest is absolutely vital, right? It's absolutely vital to our well-being. Let's think back to when COVID happened. We were forced to stay at home. We were forced to wear masks. Some people did, some people didn't. But I was isolated and had to stay in my house, and I didn't have my daily interaction with the people who I daily interact with on an ongoing basis, whether it be work, whether it be going to Circle K, talking to the cashier, and buying a can of chew, but whatever it happened to be. Like, I don't think that as a population we really understood how important it is for us as individuals to just have basic interaction. I'm just talking basic, interaction. And, a lot of people lost their mind during COVID because they were strung up in their house and they couldn't engage and interact in a normal way. I mean, luckily and thankfully, I do enjoy video games and can interact with anyone globally on a daily basis via the internet. But, like, you know, it was a transition, a serious transition. And I think it's important to point out what communities can mean to people. And I think that they can mean a lot and can be a foundation for anyone to interact and engage with other people who share common interests and relate to them, right? I mean, it's basic, right? We want to create a community where people enjoy playing Warzone and know the importance of team building. And if you don't know the importance of team building and you show that to us in a game, we're going to tell you what we don't like about you running somewhere by yourself and then getting mad at the team for not supporting you, right? That's what a community does. And there are things that I learn in the course of engaging with people in my community that can help me grow and build relationships outside of the community and beyond the community. I mean, look, a community affords us an opportunity to ask the question, what do you do for work? I know you like XYZ. How many kids do you have? Who's your favorite football team? Do you want to come over for a beer, right? Do you want to come over and have dinner with the family, right? It gives us an opportunity to say, hey, this person is someone who I already have a common interest in. And what is it going to do? It's not going to hurt me to get to know this person on a different level, and that is a wonderful thing. That is an absolutely wonderful thing that I think we all, me included, I'll speak for myself, that I believe is essential in building just core life skills, right? I mean, I don't know if you've listened to Deadly's podcast, but what was really interesting about talking with Deadly is, he's the kind of guy who's an angry pusher. And, go back and listen to the podcast. He talks about not even understanding the concept of team building and a team environment, even on the game. So when he flipped out and got mad at all of us for not following because he killed everyone but one person in the video game, we said, motherfucker, we're not following you. That's not what's in the best interest of the team. And Deadly admitted that he's like, I just didn't even know. I have no idea. It didn't even occur to me that that was part of what we're doing here. And, if Deadly wants to, which I'm sure does, he could take that as an opportunity of learning how to interact with just general people anywhere. I'm not going to speak for him, but I know I've learned a lot from a lot of people, and I am a people person. I love people. I want to know more about everybody. If you haven't figured out by now, I love talking to the guys. I love hearing how they got into video games. I love learning more about them. I want to learn more about them. I want to build my network of people so that I'm surrounded by like-minded, caring, compassionate people who, if I choose to, can reach out and talk to about any other life challenge that I think that they might have more experience in or more knowledge and understanding, right? I mean, yes, there's a component of not really knowing for sure whether or not you can trust somebody, but like, I think the ultimate form of trust is, how much money are you going to lend to somebody? How quickly are they going to pay you back? Do you have to hound them to pay you back? Because I remember what it was like when I lent somebody the $280 North Face sleeping bag because he was homeless and he had no place to live, and he fucking pawned it. That sucks, you know? So I learned next time to be more careful and don't give somebody that you don't really know who's homeless something that's worth a lot of money. The same goes for just interacting with people on a level outside of the community. There are a number of people, Thick being one of them, where I've developed an absolutely incredible relationship with outside of the video game. And I'm not afraid to admit it, and we'll even say it, that I remember driving somewhere and Thick gave me a call on the phone and said, "Hey, my birthday is December, I think it's 8th or 7th or whatever." He goes, "I'm coming from Louisville, Kentucky to come spend the weekend with you." And I was like, "Let's fucking go." And dude, he came here and we had an absolutely wonderful time, man. An absolutely wonderful time. We got to meet my kids. He got to beat up my kids, which was great because I can't do that. We went and played Top Golf. I nurtured and grew my relationship with Thick on a whole different level outside of our community. And to be candid with you, I think that there's a handful of other people. I mean, I know I could reach out to Paul Monroe. I know I could reach out to Deuce. I know I could reach out to Deadly. I know I reach out to a bunch of people, say, "Hey, for whatever reason, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods or whatever. And, let's see each other." Um, that's a good thing. That's what you want in a community. Not just mine, not just the Fo0H Tribe community. Take the initiative and do a Google search on any interest that you have, that you're passionate about, and find a place where you can relate with people and have the same hobbies with and grow your relationships there, right? I mean, we all know what it's like to have good and bad relationships, untrustworthy people. We've all been burnt before. We all know that stings and leaves a lasting impression, and you question whether or not you're going to do it again, especially in dynamics with females or, a significant other, right? Like, we want that as human beings. I'm just going to go out there on a ledge and say we want that. We want that level of engagement and foundational trust where we can be vulnerable with someone without feeling like we're going to be judged, and we learn quickly whether or not those people do judge you or they don't. And then you learn next time to maybe try it a little bit differently, right? There is a purpose beyond just the interest of the community that allows us, if we choose, to grow our relationships beyond our community. And that is the nature of why I'm doing this podcast. To share with you how simple it is to meet somebody online and develop a common interest with, right? To potentially grow an ongoing, personal relationship with somebody. I mean, how many of you have mentors? I mean, like I was just telling you about my friend Tim. He's someone who I trust and I care about. I asked him to listen to the podcast to give me his thoughts and his perspectives on it. He's got no interest in video games. right? And he heard and he listened and got me charged up today to do this episode because I don't think I really understood all of the reasons why communities are important. And I'll say it again, it doesn't have to be ours. It can be anyone, right? And why a podcast like this can help you see what dynamics can be like if you've never considered. Because I never considered developing an online community until I got into a divorce and didn't want to leave my house or my camper and spend all my day trying to get through the pain by playing video games with like-minded dudes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really passionate about it for many other reasons as well. I know what it's like to be surrounded by untrustworthy people. I know that I get taken advantage of. I know people won't pay me back. If they do, it's not the full amount. I know what it's like to be taken advantage of. I know all the things that can go wrong because I typically go down that direction first for whatever reason. But after going down that road for long enough and realizing that I would prefer the more, trustworthy, based foundational relationships about, doing the right thing, and being honest, that I want to be surrounded by a handful of people that if I need to reach out to about any matter, you know, I even have people that, are really good in business that I reach out to when I'm struggling at work. I have people that I reach out to when I struggle with relationships with my children and how to navigate, dynamics after being divorced, right? It doesn't have to just be family. And it shouldn't be, to be honest with you, because those people typically know how to push your buttons. And, that can be harder sometimes. So, why this podcast? Why the community? Well, at the end of the day, I want to be able to hopefully share with you what it's like starting and building like-minded, common interest relationships, relatable, common interest relationships with people who I've never met before, and then potentially grow them into much more substantial and meaningful relationships if I choose to do that. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Right? Who wouldn't want an opportunity to call someone and ask them if I could borrow $200 until Friday because I got to pay a bill and I don't have the money right now, but I'm going to get paid on Friday? I do. I want that kind of relationship, and I want that other person to know that they're going to get paid on Friday when I told them. And that it means a lot to me that they would even consider giving me $200 of their hard-earned money and trusting that I will give it back to them, not only in a timely manner, but the exact amount. Hell, if they wanted to charge me interest, I'd probably pay that too. Right? And there's nothing more refreshing. Let's flip the flip side of this coin. Let me tell you right now, there is nothing more empowering and wonderful than being able to share with someone that I consider a friend a experience that I went through that was really hard and troubling, and being able to share with them not what they should do, but what it is that I did to get through that troubling time. Right? I mean, being able to do that with someone who's willing to listen and then actually takes your advice, takes the relevant experience that you've gone through and takes what they need from that to get through their own tough times. And then come back and say to you, "Oh my God, that was so helpful." That is the essence. That is the essence of why I think we're here, is to share those types of experiences. And in this case, I prefer to do it with men, because I might get emotionally attached if I don't. But with women, but I prefer to do that with men, and it not being a one-way street. This is not a one-way street zone, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. Now, full disclosure, I've spent a lot of time in therapy going through my dynamic, and I'm not going to get into any details about it, but working through challenging times is hard. And going through a divorce single-handedly, and I've gone through a lot of shit, is the hardest thing I've ever gone through. But these men that I've developed relationships, who I may not have shared a lot of detail with regards to my divorce, have been there enough just on the game to make me feel like I have value and purpose. Right? Don talked about it in his podcast. And that's what we're doing here. If I can build a community that you develop one relationship with, whether it be on the video game or outside of the video game, that helps you build trust and friendships, I don't care if I make $1. I really don't. I don't care at all. That is more important to me than anything. I mean, who can say there's no reward for that, right? But there is something to be said about having someone that is not going to judge you because you're scared, and that you can be completely vulnerable with. And then also know that they will be honest with you. That's the key. Having someone, back you up on wanting to hurt somebody is not a great thing. Backing you up on somebody who's sharing their experience so that you can work through it in the right way, and in your own time, is what makes the magic happen. It's what makes the magic happen. Helping others. I'll never forget it. I was at church one day, attending a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I was making coffee. It was part of the commitment. And I was emptying out the coffee into the sink, and the pastor walked in. Now, I'm not religious. My stepfather's Jewish. I never went to church. None of that stuff. I was like, "Hey, hey, Father, what's going on?" Like the thumbs out, like, "Good to see you," And I randomly said, "Father, what's a good word? What's a good word today, Father? Break it down for me." And you know what he said? "Help thy neighbor." He turned around and walked out. I was like, yeah. Wow. Are you sure it's that simple? Is it really that simple? Just help somebody else? And at the end of the day, it is. It really is. Whether it be with your time, whether it be by providing just your experience in a way that helps someone come to their own decision, because nobody wants to be told what to do, me included, right? I don't want to be told I should do X. I want to take the information that you've given me and figure out a way on how I can get through it. And if you can get through it, like I know many millions of men have, then I know I can do it too. Because candidly, there were some days where I didn't know if I could get through it. You know, another perfect example is when my father passed away. I'd never experienced what it was like having a family member pass away. And, you know, I got through it because I talked to a lot of other people that had family members pass away, and they told me what I needed to do. Right? Yeah, I was sad. Yeah, I was upset. I was all those things. Right? But at least I had one plan of what somebody did to get them through that tough time. And then what I realized is, why have one? Reach out to somebody else. What did they do when they lost a loved one? And guess what? They told me. You know, and I used that information to help me make the best decision, you know, for me. So that's what we're doing here, gang. This is that public service announcement of what we're trying to accomplish, why we're asking you to join the community, right? For no other reason than to enjoy a video game that we all enjoy and see what happens after. Because I can tell you that good things can come from it. Are there bad people? They're bad eggs, 100%, right? But you got to learn through your own experience, you know, those types of hard lessons, and learning them with other people is much, much easier. Much, much easier. And asking for help is not a bad thing. And let me tell you, I'm going to raise my hand and simply say, I struggle with it the most. You know, I struggle with it the most. I still isolate. I still stay at home. You know, I was going to go to the dump today, but I didn't. But that's what we're doing here. That's what I want to convey to you. You know, this isn't a money grab. This is an open invitation to join a community that you have a common interest in and develop, hopefully, positive relationships with. Listen, not everything's perfect, and this certainly isn't, but, you know, we live and learn. Brene Brown, someone who I never thought I would quote, said something that I really love, which is, life is really hard. It's really hard. And it seems to be even harder, especially when you're trying to do it right. And no one ever gets a pat on the back for doing the right thing, ever. It's what's expected of you. And that doesn't make it any easier. But the unwrapped gift is being able to be vulnerable with like-minded people who won't judge me and maybe even help me along the way. And that's what we're trying to do here. All right, gang, that's enough out of me. Enjoy the rest of your day, please, and subscribe to the podcast if you would be so kind, and even maybe leave a comment. All right, guys, one last thing. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Do Butch a favor. Do Kim Jong-un a favor. Get the fuck out of here. I'll see you on the next one. All right, so now you have a better understanding of what it is that we're trying to do here with our podcast and the community that we want to grow, and why it's important, and why I think it's relevant, and why you should consider any community, not just ours, but, you know, maybe there's other things out there that you want to get into. I mean, you owe it to yourself to at least give it a shot, in my opinion. And I hope you take me up on it. You can also join our community at patreon.com. I know, Butch. / the Food Tribe. We got visitors walking by. You can join for free. We're also, check us out at thefoodtribe.com. We got pictures of everybody who's been on the podcast and a lot of our members there as well. We're on TikTok at the Food Tribe. Don't forget to spell the Foo with F-O, the number 0H. And tag us in a post if you want us to check it out. And ask questions, write a comment, subscribe, do all the above. And next week we'll get another guest for the podcast and just keep doing what we're doing. So hang in there, enjoy the ride. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. And have a great freaking rest of your day, guys. I'll talk to you soon.